And I sold out. Thank you very much. I'm humbled and honored. We're going to talk for just a second about the title. That's probably a presumptuous title, I think. I'm willing to accept that that's a reach to say I'm a boss when it comes to securing and sysadminning. Ben, over here, suggested that title to me on Twitter. Stand up, Ben, so everybody can see you. Stand up on the chair, Ben, so everybody can see you. You know, and that's, thank you. That's very honoring to come from somebody like you and the people like you to come here in front of me. And he's right. I'm good at what I do because I pay attention, because I'm here and I'm learning, and because I'm humble like my son is. You know, I can stand here and say, yeah, I'm good. But I know there's always somebody out there better and I can learn more. And that's what we're going to talk about today. There's my email address if you want to ping me off list. There's my Twitter handle. There are the slides. There are slides that you're going to want. A little bit about the network I run. I run a K through 12 network, a big district just outside of Cleveland. I've got 14 buildings, fiber between them all. It's a giant LAN, so think of it as 14 floors if you want, but spread around all over the place. I've got 6,800 users. 6,000 of them are kids. The rest of them are staff. I realize that's not a huge organization, but it's big enough that we got our hands full. We're primarily a Microsoft Cisco house, right? 40 or so servers. I do still have a handful of XP machines. I'll raise my hand and admit that. I mean, we're not perfect, but we're trying hard. We'll have them gone before the end of the year. We're full BYOD, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. It's interesting. Everybody's computer is important to them. In our district, every day, 600 teachers stand up and they give a presentation like this. Much more involved in what I do, much more technology. They're pulling content off the internet. They're playing, they got DVDs going, interactive smart boards up on the wall where the kids are coming up and working on problems. The new chalkboards are interactive smart boards. All that technology has to function every day for 600 people in 14 different buildings, or we're out of business. And I get that we're not a hospital. My network goes down, people don't die. But it's still important to us. It's still just as important to us that everything works every day and everything is safe as it is to a hospital. Content from each other. They're sharing content across the boards. We've got educators, teachers, serious hardcore technology teachers that just teach other teachers how to use more technology. And while these 600 teachers are doing that, I got 6,000 kids that have a different agenda. Porn. I put porn on the top of the list not because it's the funniest, but I put it on the top of the list because it's on the top of their list. All right? They want to install games. You know what comes with games. Malware, adware, all that stuff, right? They need iOS 8, so they need to download that on our guest wireless. What else? Yeah, they want videos. They want music, right? They want to break stuff. And they're not, I don't view any of our children as bad. They're children. They're kids. They're learning. They're pushing the envelope. They're pushing the same envelopes, the same walls, the same boundaries that we all did when we were kids, and we still do as adults. We're just kids, right? They want to get into servers and applications that they're not supposed to, and from time to time, they use the system to learn. And they all look like that. So, I've got a situation where I need a high level of service for my 600 staff members that really need technology every day. I've got to lock it down. I've got to make it work all at the same time in a really rapidly changing environment. And you know what? I don't need an organization that is concerned. You hear it all the time from people like me that are on the blue team. Security is not a priority in my organization. I hear that everywhere I go from other people. You're right, security is not a priority in your organization. Teaching kids is the priority in my organization. My job, and I'm just a service industry in my organization. I'm no different than the janitors that clean the halls or the lunch ladies that make lunch for everybody that provide those services. I provide a service to the business of educating kids. Part of the service I have to provide is security. It's not the organization's responsibility to be focused on security. It's my responsibility to be focused on it Make us secure and let them do their job. Can't get in their way. So what you got to do is you got to look at yourself, how you're interacting with your employees and your management, and build your own credibility in your organization so you can do what you need to do without blowing everything up and without them standing in your way. It's all in your control. Everything on this list are things you control. Right? Start out by having a kid that's an InfoSec genius, right? I mean, your cred goes way up in your org, I can tell you that right now. That's a long-term plan for some of you, maybe a never plan for some of you. You might not get a wife. All right. Go to cons and give talks. You know, look at this con. All the people that are not rock stars like me giving talks. Go give talks. And then get them on YouTube. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, gentlemen. And send the link to everybody you work with. Right? Don't embarrass them during your talk. I'm going to talk about my employees in a second here, but I'm not going to embarrass them. They see the cred. They're going to see all these faces listening to what I got to say, and they say, you know, maybe we got to listen to them next time. Talk up the security that you do. A lot of security and things that I do don't intrude on their day-to-day work effort, but I tell them about it. When I'm bouncing servers at 4 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday because I patched them all, I send an email out, let them know. They're not teaching kids at 4 o'clock in the morning. They don't care that the servers are bouncing, but I'm letting them know what I'm doing. Right? Compromise. This is a big one. Don't implement security for the sake of implementing security. I am not a big fan of frequent password changes. I know some of you are going to argue with me about that one afterwards, but I'm just not. If I get your password, I'm not going to wait 30 days for you to change it. I'm going to steal your crap today. I'm going to pivot off your account today. I'm not going to wait for 30 days for you to change it. Yes, if you change it in 30 days, that'll stop the long-term role of what I'm doing. You can't get me day to day to day. But it's just not worth it to me. It's a small incremental increase in our security posture that just totally annoys your users, right? They got to change 90 passwords every 30 days. I ain't buying it. I'm not buying it. I'm not going to make them mad. I don't want them mad so that when I really need to implement something to make them secure, that they're going to stand up and fight against me. Keep your stuff working. You got to keep your stuff working. Security is useless if it doesn't work, right? Get an audit. Get validation on one side of the column of all the things you've done or needed, and validation on the other side of the things you haven't done that you're asking for that they need to be done. All right, so we're going to branch off here for a second and talk a little bit about a couple of things that have had happen just recently in the last month or so with my users. You know, about a year ago, it seemed like the whole world wanted to educate their users to stop them from phishing. The people in my organization, most of them have doctorates in education. At least masters, most have doctorates. They're already highly educated people. I am not going to sit them down and teach them to be better at recognizing a fish than he is at crafting a fish that they're going to fall for. He's smarter at fishing than they are. He's been doing it since he was that tall. He's going to trick them sooner or later. It's inevitable. So if you're going to educate him, you might cut down the frequency a little bit, but you're not going to stop it. So what you need to do, let's follow one of my users here down the information superhighway. I hope nobody's, you know, if anybody starts to have a seizure because it keeps looping, let me know, I'll flip. But this is where I'm going to tell my story. High-level person in our organization, doctorate in education, frequently forwarding phishing emails to me, questionable websites. He's got it together. He's on the ball. Comes in one morning, walks past a fax machine. The fax machine. I didn't even know we had fax machines anymore. He pulls the fax off, and there's a fax from, according to him, as I heard the story later on, our lawyers. And he looks at it, and he's got to go to this website to sign up for a class action lawsuit from our lawyers. Hands it to his secretary as he's walking by and says, you know, here, type this in and click on it. So now I don't got to worry about them getting emails and they're clicking on shit. Now they're going to pull it off the fax machine, type it in their web browser so they can click on it. Secretary literally said, this doesn't look right. Don't like this, you know. And so he said, no, this is legit. We need this money. We need to get in this class action lawsuit. Typed it in. He clicked on it, and it was blocked. Blocked by my web filter. I'm a fanatic about my web filter. This is the website he went to go to. Let's look up here at the domain. class-settlement.com. There you go, log in right here. Total fish, right? It blocked him. The reason I heard about this is because he was chewing out my boss in a departmental meeting. All the departments and the guy that had this problem. He's chewing my boss out in front of all these people. That, you know, we can't get to this website. My boss is like texting me under the table, like, what the hell did you do? What the hell did you do? You know, this new filter is killing us. Who is on it? That's our law offices. All right? That's a Google Street View of our law offices. That is out on Long Island in New York, very close to the water. Cement shoes are ready to go. All right, so we all know what it was. It was a fish. It was a fax fish, for Pete's sake. You just don't see those every day. The filter stopped them, and here's why. It was a brand new domain. My web filter had not found it. If I don't know what it is, you can't go to it. Simple as that. That is the single most awesome fish-killing tactic I've ever seen. Because a new phishing website comes up, my filter's never heard of it, it's unknown, it blocks it. This is not easy to do. You've got to pick your filter very carefully when you buy this. You know, there's 3 categories to worry about. It's either good, it's bad, or I don't know about it. We're going to allow the good, we're going to block the bad, and now we want to block what we don't know about. So you got to pick a filter that has a very small list of unknowns. It's got to know most of the internet. If it knows very little of the internet, the unknowns become too big, you blow up the internet on them. There's only 2 out there that I've seen that'll do that. Barracuda and iBoss. And I don't normally get into recommending products, but you know, if you want to try and block unknowns, they've got to have a small subset of unknowns, and you're all set. So I'm texting all this information to my boss in the meeting as he's getting chewed out. He explains what's going on. Look what happened to our credibility, right? Saves my boss in the middle of a meeting. It was a valid block. And I get credibility with everybody on that management team that the filter is doing what it's supposed to do. It's a valid block, and we have to do this. They saw firsthand, every department head, why we have to do this. So now when the filter screws up, it's going to overblock. That's what filters do. They're going to back off a little bit, and I've got credibility. Take your credibility and leverage it for more credibility with your organization. 4 days before school starts, they walk past my desk and tell me that we're going to give all of our students Python. I'm sorry, 2 labs with Python. We're going to start teaching our kids Python. And that's great. You know, we're jumping forward and we're doing that for our kids, but that's really bad for me, right? I mean, you can run all of Metasploit out through Python. You can go to TrustedSec or any of the other security companies and download ready to go exploits in Python. I mean, there's a reason we're teaching Python. It's a great language. There's a reason all the red teamers are using it. It's a great language. So now I've got a mess on my hands. 4 days before this class starts, and I've got to put the brakes on these kids learning because there's a serious security risk here. I can't turn them loose on my network with Python. See, and this is on a Friday. And so I go into the boss's office, who I still have good cred with from the previous slide, right? Bailed him out of the meeting. I said, look, we got a problem here. I've got to put the brakes on this class. I need a week. And you're just going to have the teachers teach the history of programming and do some basic stuff on the internet. I said, but we got to build a lab here that's going to be safe. As it turned out, it only took a few days because the situation is really easy. It wasn't hard at all. Dual boot them, right? Put Python on the second boot. Put a wireless NIC in for them. Put them on our guest network so they just go straight out to the internet. They can get to their Google Drives. They can get to Google Apps. They can run their Python. They can do their research. And then hide the OS drive so they can't get to the regular drive. Everybody with me there? It's just a quick, creative way to make something safe. And again, going back to my original list, it's got to work. It's got to teach the kids. Again, more cred with the curriculum people who dreamed up this idea 4 days before school started. We're going to see this, so I'm going to keep hammering on that. Right? The teachers are stuck in the middle. They're assigned the task of teaching these kids this new class. Right? And again, more cred with the boss. But more importantly than that, we're still fulfilling our organization's mission. We're teaching people. All right. So let's talk about the broad list of things I do to keep my general network clean. Right? Can't build a good solid house on sand. I don't have a lot to say about that. I just wanted to use that picture. All right. Just so you know, I didn't use the clown picture I downloaded last night. I could have. I did not. And there's no nudity involved. All right, so here we go. Now, see, these were the kinds of pictures I had until you called me out, and then I brought the other ones out. Let's just talk about the basics, all right? You know, securing a Windows network, I don't believe, is as hard as as everybody's making it out to be. Quite honestly, I believe a lot of Windows admins, they suck, all right? If you get popped with a SQL injection in today's day and age, I'm sorry, you suck. There's just no excuse for it. If you get hit with, 0867, you're not doing your job. That's nobody's fault. That's not Microsoft's fault. That's not your boss's fault who isn't, keyed in on security. Security's not a priority. Baloney. That's a simple patch. Testing your websites for SQL injection. It's a simple thing to do. Even I can do it, right? It's not that hard. Do it. They roll up a new website, check it. Check it for cross-site, check the basics. And this is what I'm talking about. Pay attention to the basics on a Windows network and your life will be very easy. All of our stuff is baseline. All of our images are common. And the senior IT guy is who builds the desktop images. It's not something we assign to a desktop technician that doesn't understand group policy, doesn't understand the workings of security and how that all fits together. Because I've seen our old desktop tech that used to do it, I mean, he's just throwing registry hacks to make this work and turning this service off and doing this and doing that and not understanding the whole picture. And you end up with a really difficult desktop to secure because it's been riddled with holes before you even throw the image up. So, you got to suck it up. I'm the smart IT guy in the organization. I'm the one that builds the desktop images. You have to do it that way. You have to build from the ground up. Same thing with servers. The senior builder builds all the servers. There's standardized images. There's written, documented checklists for every step of the process. It's not hard. Just make the list as you do it. All right, Recon. Got to know what you got, right? If you're going to defend your network, you got to know what's there. And I know that there's some of you out there. I was talking to a guy today that had 175,000 nodes. All right, I'm not sure how to do 175,000 nodes. You're in the wrong room for that. All right, but decent, mid-sized networks, bigger networks, it's very doable. Pay attention to what you got. Right? Document and define all your systems. Put it all together on paper. If you don't put it on paper, you're going to forget, or it's not going to exist in your mind unless you can check it. Document all the software you have. You can't patch it if you don't know if you got it. Right? It's not hard to buy automated inventory systems to check your system for the software it's installed. You can do it with SOCON. You can get your help desk. Most help desk software will do it for you. Right? Document the traffic. The talk before me, they're talking about how important knowing how to use a Wireshark is. They're right. Where's your traffic going? Where's it flowing? Document the access. Where is that traffic going? Where's it coming from? Where's it going to? So who needs access to what? All right? What's vulnerable? All right. If you can't get $1,000 a year in your budget to get a subscription to Nessus, you probably suck. You don't have a lot of credibility. You need to jump your credibility up. There's no reason why you can't Nessus yourself every few weeks. What the heck? You just click on it and walk away. Go have a coffee, right? It's a great starting point to keep track of what's going on. It's easy to do. What's it doing? Read your logs. Come on, filter your logs back to System Center. It's not expensive. It's not hard. It's easy to do. You trigger the alerts on it. And once it's done, it's done. You got to audit access, success and failure? Obviously. All right, defense. This is a great picture. Huh? See? What's that? Dude, I got DVDs of pictures of you. You don't want to start this war. I don't want to be morbid, but there's a point in everybody's life where they know it's time to pass the torch on and all that stuff. And I have all those pictures. I have all the pictures, the family pictures going back for generations. So, yes, you do. You need to defend yourself. Of course you do. I need to defend myself every day, right? You all know about the kinds of outside hackers you have coming at you, and and fishing at you and everything. I've got all of that, and I've got 6,000 kids that want to get past my filter to get to porn, right? And that's what they do all day long. They try and find holes and poke away. Again, they're not destructive, but kids, all right? For those of you that are older, that were in high school before the information, age, we stole our dad's Playboys. That's what we did. It's no different today for the kids. They're just doing electronically. They're not bad. Look, last talk, they talked about Security Onion. Yeah, you can roll your own Linux IDS. It's just totally awesome. I mean, Doug Burks, I haven't seen him in a couple of years, but he turned me on to Security Onion at the first DerbyCon. I've been running it ever since. It just rocks. You download the distro, you pop it onto a box, and 30 minutes later, you got IDS. You got a lot of fine-tuning to do on the alerts and everything and work with it, but you got something you can work with, you can afford, and you really get a good idea of where the traffic's coming back and forth from. And those of you who have never seen it, take a good look at it. He's got all the Linux packages working together, with Snort and Bros and all that stuff and Snorby, and you can just pivot from an alert to the packet to the whole conversation that packet's attached to. And you see the whole thing just run right down there. Really cool stuff. Yeah. Really, reconstructing the full transactions, it does full packet capture of your whole network, so yeah, it requires some serious hard drive space, but then it's all there. And really, 30 minutes, I had it done in 30 minutes, and I'm not a Nix guy. Patch your stuff. This is the same exact slide from last year. This is the same slide. I mean, look, you look at all my other slides. They got those little arrows right there. You can tell here, dots from last year. You guys still haven't patched 067. What the hell? In a 90-day patch window is the average in our industry. So you got to ask yourself, am I average or am I a little better than that? Am I an above average kind of guy? Am I going to go for 60 days or 45 days? Why can't you cut that down? How you cut that down is really cool. I don't know if I have it coming up on the slide. Yeah, there it is, right here. Patchmanagement.org. Go there and sign up for the mailing list, and just read. Tuesday morning hits. Microsoft blows out all their patches. We've got Susan Bradley, who runs that list. Shavik is the company that pays for all this. Susan is an MVP. She works for a big law. She's the admin for a big law firm down in Texas. This lady's got a direct line to the patching people at Microsoft. Some of the big wigs for Microsoft patching are on the list with us. We chat back and forth all the time. Tuesday, by the end of the day, the alarms are going off on who's having trouble with what patches and what kind of issues we're seeing. We're all talking to each other. Our test is coming back. I can tell you by Thursday morning, I know whether or not these patches are going to blow up my boxes or not. And I can pick them all and roll them. I'd had to do very little testing on my own part, because there's about 6,000 or 7,000 people on this list that are doing it for me. It tremendously increases your patch time. I've got my servers patched every month by Thursday night, and the following Monday I've got all my desktop done. Just by paying attention to this list and what's going on. Really, if you're patching Windows boxes, get on patchmanager.org. If I don't see you there, I will haunt you. I will find baby pictures of you. All right? All right, so let's talk about some basics of server hardening. NTLM. Did I spell it right? Yes. Kill it. It's time to die. Get rid of it. I know earlier in the week, Kerberos is broken too. You know what? That's fine. Or kill NTLM. Service accounts. We got service accounts all over the place. You got SOCOM service accounts. You got backup service accounts. You got web apps running service accounts. Get them under control. They're a huge pivot point. Strong passwords. Limit their privs. Deny interactive logon. Deny interactive logon for your service accounts. Make them single use so they can't pivot from SOCOM to Exchange to your file server. Single use service accounts. All right, here's one. Either get my slide deck or Google it or write it down. Mitigating service accounts. All right, white paper came out about a week ago. Mr. Moore from Rapid7, dude from MS, and Murthy from Palo Alto. It's an outstanding white paper on how to mitigate NTLM, Kerberos, and most importantly, service accounts. He hits all three of them in about 12 pages, step by step, how to keep yourself out of trouble. Rocking stuff. Killed about 5 slides I was going to do because it would look like I was stealing from them. So, more server hardening. Oh yeah, oh, we're in great shape. Emmett 5.0. Wait, 5.1 now, right? Yeah. Just rolled 5.1. I asked this last year. I'll ask it again. Red team, how many servers have you popped that had Emmett on it? Yeah. Anybody besides the thought leader there that has popped? You know, and this brings up a really good point about my whole talk. No matter how good you are, there's always somebody better, right? And he's going to pop you. But you know what? The chances of him having enough time to come after everybody out there are low. You know, make yourself the safest target out there and let them go on to the next guy. You know, there's just things that become too complicated. We're not going to be 100% secure and have a functioning system. But you just can't get hit by patches and basic Java vulnerabilities anymore. You got to fix that stuff. You know, anyway, going back to Emmett, yes, there are ways to bypass it now, but it's a pain in the butt. I haven't seen a whole lot. I haven't seen any. Have you seen any live in the field that are bypassing it, you know, using the Emmett bypasser? You know, it's doable. We've seen the talks. We've seen the proof of concept, but I haven't seen them live yet. So get your Emmett out there. It walks. You know, I've not had any trouble with it. It caused me no issues, and it just runs. I run it on all my desktops, run it on all my servers. Firewall between your users and your servers. In my case, that's a big one. You know, my users are my worst nightmare. You know, not because they are destructive. They are trying to hack my stuff. So, segment people on the VLANs. You know, my students can only get to resources they need to get to on their VLAN. And my firewall between my servers and them is what handles all of that for me. They cannot get to the cash register server, the server that runs the lunch money. They've got no way to path to it. You got to keep it that way. Turn your firewalls on your servers. Take your shit out of the domain. This was on my slide last year, right before Target got hacked because they didn't take their HVAC system off the network. That's how they got into Target. I called that one. Ha! Desktop hardening. Come on, no admin. It's 2014. Absolutely. I absolutely give it full credit. I do both. I go at them first unprivileged, and then I go at them with full privilege. I put myself inside. When I do my nested scanning with creds on my server, I put them on the same subnet. I will then put my scanner inside my firewall. No. Whatever my firewall rules on my server stop, Nessus does not scan. Oh, wait. With creds, yes. With creds, they will do it. Yes. Right? Yes. I'm doing both. Yes. I allow it over that, and I give it domain admin creds when I do it. Right, so yes. And I do it twice. Once without creds, and once with domain creds. With domain admin creds. So getting past the firewall the second time. Great. Thank you. All right, so no local admin. And this is important in a couple of slides here because we're going to make you very, very safe in a couple of slides. And we're going to make your desktops very safe. No local admin. You just don't need to do it. You know what? You just need to be a responsive IT department. Take it away. And when they want their, everybody's special. They got to have their special software. Fine. Sneaker net out there or remote in and give them their special software. They are special. They aren't asking for it because they're boneheads. They're asking for it because they need it. So give it to them. RDS. I'm a big fan of remote desktop services for, what's the word I'm looking for? For high-level users, for high-risk users, like our finance department, our treasurers, high risk, that's the word I'm looking for. I put them on a remote desktop when they're doing anything financial, when they're going to our bank or anything like that. That box can only go from there to the bank. It can't go anywhere else on the internet. So I don't have to worry about them downloading, credential harvesting crap off the internet. Big fan of that. Event logging on all the desktops. Go through your box and lay out your group policies, hiding user login, turning on UAC, turning off auto run, software restrictions we're going to get to in a second. Oh, really fast. And then when you get this box locked down, give yourself a regular user account, plug it in, log in, and see what you can bang. See what you can hack. Hack yourself. So what's the first thing a bad guy does when he gets a machine to pivot? He recons. So see what you can recon on yourself as a regular user. And you're going to have a leg up on the bad guy because you know your network, hopefully, inside and out. But see if you can ping servers, see if you can do sweeps, see if you can start scanning and see what's out there and see what kind of recon you can do. And if you find a way to recon, you got to look at that account, look at the privileges, and take away the privilege that allowed you to do that recon. You got to stop them right then and there. My users, my regular users, cannot get to a command prompt. They cannot go to whack server name and share. All right. They either go through. I map their stuff to them. I send them all their shares and map them to them so they can get to them. They can't get to a command prompt. In a second here, let's keep going. Applocker. Turn Applocker on. My users who can't get to a command prompt, who can't run ipconfig, who can't ping. Look at the default rules for Applocker. Has anybody ever turned on? How many Applocker users do we have? Very few. Look how easy this is. This is right-click enable in a group policy. And look at our rules and look where it gets you very, very quickly. Administrators, built-in administrators, right? 2 slides ago, we took away local admin rights. So that takes care of my desktop people. They can still run anything, anywhere, anytime. Everyone, this one you got to work on a little bit. Everyone can run EXEs in the Windows folder system. You got to be careful with that. There's 6 or 8 folders under CWAC Windows that users have write abilities to. You don't want a user to have write abilities to a folder and execute abilities at the same time. So you might find those 5 or 6 folders and modify this rule to path those areas out. But they do need to be able to run EXEs in C Windows. And then last is C program files. That's an allow. And then Applocker, for those of you that don't know, works just like a Cisco firewall. Everything's an allow, and then your last rule is deny. So right now, out of the box, my users can only run EXEs from C program files. They're not admins, so they have no write ability to that directory, so they can't download crap and install it there and run it. That's it. They can only run EXEs that I put in there for them. Now this grows a little bit. You're going to have to put in, if you're running some applications from servers, which I do, you're going to have to put in allow pass for that and everything. But this is really, if you're a Windows guy and you haven't done this is really easy to do. Really, really easy to do. It's awesome. Where's all the malware go these days that you download? It goes in app data, right? Anybody what's that? Can they run that? If this rule is implied, can they run that? No, they can't. They can't run the crap they put down in app data. Kill features. Take it away. I talked to you about how they can't do all the things they need to do a recon. I also don't let them turn stuff back off or on. Explorer search menu's gone. That's an easy way to recon for servers. Run command, batch files, all that stuff's dead for my users. Not a problem at all. Just turn it off. Hide the system drive. They don't need to get in there. They got their shortcuts. They got their program files. That's all they need. Oh, I'm going to skip past this next slide really fast because I mentioned somebody specifically, and that's not acceptable. It was just a joke, but it's still not acceptable. I don't run any AV other than whatever comes with Microsoft. I pay very, very little attention to it. I saw a little Twitter trolling going on about a week ago, and trolling on Twitter. Can you imagine that? And a big AV company made a little blurb announcement that 99% of Fortune 1000 companies use our antivirus. And the troll back was, but wait, all the big companies that are getting hacked are Fortune 1000 companies. So does that mean 99% of the people that get hacked use your AV? That's a mathematical jump there, but that was the troll. I'm not a big fan of AV. I've got them locked down where AV is not going to stop a hell of a lot. My filter works, they're not going to get it. They can't write that stuff to app data. They can't put that stuff in program files because they don't have any, or they can't run it from app data and they can't put it in program files. I just don't have any problems with viruses and malware. I just don't see it. I have 2 or 3 or 4 here and there. Java sucks. It's always going to suck. Get Emmet on top of it. Stay on top of the patches. You've got to do that. Push your vendors to get rid of it. It's kind of cool. I went down to a big educational conference, and I actually gave a similar talk to this one there to them. And one of the big vendors was there that makes, we call them SIS, Student Information Systems. That's your permanent record, right? That's where your grades are and everything you ever did bad that follows you around as you move from school to school. And this system ran all on Java. And they're really slow to update it. We're like 4 versions behind on Java. And I went up to them and I just blasted them in their booth. I said, you know, you can't do this anymore. You know, you got to either get rid of Java or you got to stay on top of it and be up to date. And amazingly, they listened to me. And then they were already going to do it, but they were aware of the situation. But you got to keep pushing your vendors. And what they're doing is they're now running all their stuff in a prepackaged jar. So they drop the jar, we drop the jar in the program files, it launches its own Java. I don't have to worry about I don't have to worry about version conflicts. I can keep everybody else now up to date on their Java. And because that's not a registered version of Java in add and remove programs in the registry, you know, the bad guys can't call it. You know, only their package can call it. So push your vendors. They can do a lot to mitigate Java. Right? So we know Java's bad. All right. That picture has nothing to do with anything, obviously, but I just had to put it in there, of course. Oh, network layer. You know, we were talking about this last night at dinner with a couple of guys. Sticky Macs. Cisco supports Sticky Macs. Turn them on. I have every port in my district, 14 buildings. So I probably got, 20,000 drops? They're all Sticky Mac. First computer that plugs in, the port latches onto that MAC address. No other computer can plug into it. Now, can a kid bring his laptop in and figure out what the MAC address is of the computer that's plugged into this port and then, spoof that MAC address and then plug into it? Fine. If you can pull that off when you're physically in my building, you got enough time to do that, I'm not going to be able to stop you. I'm okay with that. It's not going to happen. Remember, the kids can't get to a command prompt on a desktop. Them finding out their MAC address is going to be pretty difficult for them. Not impossible, but very, very difficult. Sticky Macs are cool. And we've taught our desktop techs. I'm not going to show you because I'll blow up my slides, but all of our laptops in the IT department have a nice little program on it that will let you ping a port and tell you what the port number is, even though it's already Sticky Mac shut down. And then real quick and easy, we hit wireless, we circle back in, we undo the port, and the desktop technicians can move computers around on their own. So regular desktop techs, resetting that is no problem at all. Ports that aren't used, we kill them, turn them off. Just turn them the hell off. You don't need people plugging stuff in. Egress filtering. I block everything from my user networks out except 80 and 443. I do full SSL inspection and application inspection. And I do that all with that Barracuda web filter. Really, take a good look at that sucker. It's an awesome little box. I mean, it's just a wonderful, wonderful box. Rinse, lather, and repeat. You got to negotiate time to do all this stuff. This is where your credibility comes into play. You've got to have enough slack in your schedule, and I know things get crazy. I mean, the beginning of the school year is insane for us. There's a line outside my door. People dropping off software and projects that they need done in the next 4 days. You got to negotiate time to take care of their details, to read the logs, to follow the traffic, to patch the servers. You got to have the time to do that. That comes with your credibility, right? The credibility we built up at the beginning. One of the big things I always do is I got the negotiated time from my boss, and then I had him using that time in my yearly review. And so the first couple of reviews, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't getting that done because he just kept throwing stuff at me. And he said, all right, so let's look at your goals from your last review. And yeah, I did that. All right, what about this whole, security maintenance thing? You're burying me, man. I didn't get it done. Threw it right back at him. 2 or 3 reviews. After that, I'm not hitting my reviews. That reflects on my manager. Now he's starting to give me the time. And he's done a great job at it, and the whole organization has. All right, we're done. Now, what we're going to do is something new. I want to start a new DerbyCon tradition here. How many Catholics do we have? How many people have been to a Catholic Mass? All right. All right. And there's nothing religious about this at all. But this is going to be a religious-like experience. Catholics, late in their Mass, always get up and they turn around and reach out to people they don't know, that they've never met before, shake their hand, and peace be with you, right? So everybody up. Up. I want you to find somebody near you and give them a hug. And I want you to say, security be with you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now all of you that are speakers, I want you to steal my security be with you idea. All right? Yes. No, I have blacklist. I'm blacklist. No. All right, let's back up. I only allow 80 and 443 out of my core network. I'm much more liberal on our guest wireless network. That's air-gapped off of my regular wireless network. I don't care if they download iTunes. I don't care if they're, as long as it's not illegal, it's not pornographic. No, I've not gone to whitelist only. You know what? It's impossible. In my environment, there is so many resources out there for the teachers to use to teach that, and they're buying their own domain names now. The teachers buying their own domain names and putting up collaborative content with teachers all over the country. My filter's never going to find, I'm never going to find that list of websites fast enough to keep the process going. Now, my treasurer's department are whitelist only. Okay? And that's what's the beauty of that. I keep going back to Barracuda. They rock. I can put IPs in different groups. I can put, domain groups in different groups. I mean, all kinds of different things. I've been able to make it dance in circles exactly the way I want to, so that when a treasurer logs into the remote desktop system to do banking, that machine for her is whitelisted only. When she goes back to her regular machine, she's back to a blacklist filter. I ran it for like 2 or 3 months ahead of time and logged everything they were doing. I told them, get on the RDS system. I need you to do everything you do every day on this. And I left them with just a blacklist filter for the first few months, logged what all the blocks would have been, and generated my whitelist from their history. And the other thing it did, I didn't talk about this, and it was important. When you run a strict filter, you have to be responsive. All right, my response time on unblocking a website is 10 minutes. I mean, I literally keep the ticket system open on its own screen. And as I'm doing my regular duties or whatever I'm working on, if I see something come in that's a filter request, it's nothing. I copy it out of that screen, paste it into this screen, and hit reload on the rules, and it's done. So now they're behind me because I'm giving them what they need in 5-10 minutes most of the time. The Applocker, yeah, I respond as quickly, and I keep that really tight. That has not been a problem. I push all those. My users don't install updates. They don't have admin rights. They can't do Flash. They can't do Java. And I don't want them to. I don't want them blowing up an application. That's my job to blow up the application.